Hello once again, chess enthusiasts. I hope that there are among you out there some devotees of coffee house style of play, because I have a bit of a treat today. This is a game that I played recently against a player of reasonable strength, and we allowed ourselves 30 minutes each to complete the game, and we also agreed that we would not resign, we would play down to the wire, so we would go all the way to checkmate, and so it proved. The opening is one that I've never previously played. It's the Danish Gambit. I have played the King's Gambit on a number of occasions and done reasonably well with it, but I did indicate to my opponent prior to the start of this game that I might play it, and so once I'd played e4 he went along with me. So let's take a look at this game. There's just one other thing that I would say. I'll just give the main line moves in this game, and any alternatives will be featured in the comments box, so take a look there if you see something that you think might be of interest to you. So the game in fact went e4, e5, d4, he takes d4. So far we have the center game, but now of course White indicates his intentions by playing the Danish Gambit, and it's invariably accepted. To there. Now, once White has played bishop c4 here, homing in on f7, Black can either take the third pawn, or he can either play d5 or knight f6. It's a matter of choice, really. My opponent in this game went the full whack and took the pawn. So of course the reply to that is bishop takes b2. This is the standard position after 5 moves. Now what is usual at this stage is Schlechter's defense d5, freeing up the black back rank and also stopping the pressure from the bishop on f7. However, my opponent played this move and I'm not familiar with it. So I don't know if there's anybody out there who is. I've checked in my old book and it just doesn't give it. So maybe it's a new idea or something, I don't know. I don't really go in for new analysis. I'm willing to learn from it, but I don't actively seek it out. So by all means, have a look at it and feel free to let me know if you're familiar with this and what you think of it. But as can be seen, Black is now threatening to take on g2. So do we let him? Well, I instinctively played this move here, and what we're doing here is we're attacking the queen and we're letting him take the pawn. Should he take it? That is the question. Well, he does take it. And so quite naturally we now play here. And he has to go here. Now he's running out of moves for his queen, if you notice. This is a good thing. So what do we do now? Well, I played here. I'm getting one of the pawns back, and this is not a sacrifice for the simple reason that he can't afford to touch it, because if he did, his king and queen would be forked with a knight check on g5. So he has two choices. He played here, which I don't think is the better of the two moves between here or here. Check the comments box out for my remarks to do with king e7. So, how does White continue here? Well, he takes this pawn off. He gets another pawn. He's slowly but surely getting them back. And he's threatening the rook. So what does Black do? I've mentioned in the comments box, incidentally, this check here. And what we do is we play the knight to here, and we're still threatening the rook. And should he take the knight, the bishop can simply come back, and we're still threatening the rook, and it's not possible to defend in totality, because even if you put the knight in the way, you'd put him in check and you'd pick up the rook. So he really has no option here other than to take the bishop, and so we take it back with the rook, like so. And now if you notice, we're threatening the knight on g8. Now what he plays here is knight f6. In the comments box I mention these two. Incidentally, I must mention this, that if he does play here, as opposed to either knight e7 or knight f6 to save that knight, all that you need to do is to play here, and his queen is trapped. So that is worth noting. So knight h6 is definitely a no-go. He plays knight f6. Like I say, go to the comments box if you want to see what happens after knight e7. Knight f6, I think, is the best of the three. Knight h6 being essentially useless. So in this position, I declared checkmate in 13 moves. That's a good one, isn't it? That's typical coffee house style. I couldn't resist it because I had seen the main line. Can you see how it starts? Right, well, what you do is you play here, and you're threatening his queen. Now, he has two choices. Well, in fact, he has three choices. He can either go to h6, which is the best move and the one that he played, or he can go to here, or he can take the pawn. It really doesn't make any odds. There's no way out for him, as a matter of fact, after that. So, what happens? Well, white takes advantage of controlling the d-line supremely, and this is why it's a disadvantage having his king on d8. This pawn is pinned, and so check. He's forced into playing king e7. Well, what do we do now? What we do is we play here, and this, as I could tell from the expression on my opponent's face, he had not expected that move. Because what this is telling him is, you're either going to lose your queen, and he didn't want to do that, or you're going to have to take this knight, which he did. And in taking that knight, he's pulling himself into the middle of the board where he has no protection whatsoever. So what do we do now? Well, this explains why I played bishop g6, because you come back this way, controlling the 7th rank, controlling the d-line, and he can't interpose anything. And he can't take that bishop. And if you notice, it wouldn't have made any odds had he moved his queen here or here. He wouldn't be able to stop this line of play. So he plays here. What do we do now? Right, well, what we do is we play there. And that's check. We're forcing his hand all the while. He has to play to f4. What do we do now? Right, well, we play here. And the disadvantage, of course, of playing to h6 here is that he is going to lose his queen because he has to play here. And then we take the queen off, like that. At this stage, there is essentially no defense to being mated in the corner. This is the best line, but it doesn't work. So what do we play here? Right, well, what we do is we play this. Check. We're forcing him into the corner whether he likes it or not. And then we go to here. You see what we're weaving here? A mating net right on h8. He has no option but to go here. Now, when I declared mate in 13, I anticipated that it would be necessary to cover this pawn. So if you castle at this point, you muck up the mate in 13. So what you have to play is here. Discovered check. He only has one reply to it. That. So you take that off. He takes off. And now it's mate in 2. That's it. Knight f3. You notice how the king is nicely covering the pawn. He has no option but to go into the corner. And then the end of this game in 23 moves altogether. Checkmate. That's a very satisfying game. It's a study in itself, I suppose you could say. You could call it a checkmate in 13 moves. And I trust that you liked the look of that game. I certainly enjoyed playing it and winning it. And my opponent took it in good spirits. Thanks very much indeed for watching, and goodbye for now.